Good afternoon, members and members of the public. I welcome you to this extraordinary council meeting of the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, today, the 24th of July 2025. Item 1 is apologies of attendance. We have an apology from member Iris Dorset. Are there any other apologies? Could I have someone to move the apology be accepted to Councillor Reynolds and Councillor Gallagher? Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Acknowledgement of country. Central Tablelands Weeds Authority acknowledges the Wiradjuri people, traditional custodians of the lands where we work, and the CTWA celebrates the diversity of Aboriginal peoples, their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of New South Wales Central Tablelands. Recording of meeting, members of the public are advised that proceedings of this meeting, other than any confidential matters, will be recorded and made publicly available on the CTWA website. And persons attending the meeting should note that their conduct is being recorded. I'd enforce disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosure of interest by members? If not, we move to item 5.
Before we move to that, Chair, I've got a procedural issue I'd like to raise,
Yes.
and that's in relation to the calling of the meeting. The first page of the document that comes out is about the notice of the meeting, but under section 3.3 of the Code of Meeting Practice, it requires 2 signatures. I'd actually like that to state who's called the meeting and for what purpose.
Well, the meeting was called primarily to the approval of the financial statements, but also to discuss confidential issues relating to an issue raised by the ARIC board.
No, I appreciate that. I understand. I'm just asking in the future, if we have extraordinary meetings, if the first page on the paper states who's called the meeting and the purpose for the calling of the meeting.
Well, we can do that. I'm not aware that certainly our council doesn't do that necessarily.
No, we've done it on occasions and had the original documentation sent out. I don't want to see the signature because I was speaking to Bruce and I'm aware that it was done by email, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that. It's just knowing who's called it and why. That's all.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you.
Item 5 is the 2024-25 financial statements. The recommendation is that council approve 2024-25 financial statements. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Reynolds, thank you. Second, please. Member Fry, thank you. Member Reynolds.
Okay. As in, it was I suppose you could say it was a good result for the financial performance. So I just tried to open up the right page to discuss this matter. But yes, the income statement, which shows a net operating result for the year of $148,000, which was well above expectations. I believe, and that the general manager may have extra additional information because I actually haven't talked. So I might throw a question to the general manager on why the performance was way better than the original budget estimate, and also the last QBRS for the third quarter. Through you, Chair, to the general manager.
Through the Chair, I will have to take that on notice. We've only finalised the results as of Tuesday this week, and subsequent to that, we've been madly supplying information to the auditors. I do intend to go through and analyse the results to be able to provide council with the drivers behind that particular result. But at this point in time, I can only read what is in front of the committee.
So, Chair, could I make a suggestion, particularly for the newly installed Finance Committee, that we get some form, and we don't need the full QBRS for the fourth quarter, but to look at each category on expenditure versus budgeted expenditure, whether it can be broken down. So not a full QBRS, but just
so you can see the variances over and above.
That's right, which will give us an indication of why. I suspect some of the reasons, if I may, Chair, in my analysis of the third quarter, was part of our expenses were covered for staff that moved on, as in resigned, or in the case of one that was removed, or
that may not have been paid out till this year either.
No, that would have been paid out last financial year, but it was taken out of the wages section. Each of the staff that left, I believe that there would have had to have been a number of adjustments to bring back, because that would have been in the balance sheet or the statement of financial position. And that money would have come out of there rather than the profit and loss, because we budget for and take out of with our
So you're
profit and
saying
loss.
it wouldn't have come out of the employee reserve account?
Correct, that it's come directly out of the profit and loss, and I suspect there's been adjustments as one of the reasons. A second reason is because we've had less employees, that the last quarter was, as in less wages to pay out in the last quarter. Also, with regard, even though this was taken into account, but not our financial assistance grants, but as in WAP funding was higher than originally projected, was probably another reason. Also, legal proceedings, again, and this is why I'd like to see a breakdown, as in were less than what we budgeted, and yet we estimated we were going to spend the full budgeting. So I think there are a number of factors. It is a good situation to be in the black, as opposed to be in the negative. I do also just quickly want to highlight with regard to the budget, and we will, I suspect at the first quarter QBRS make an adjustment. We did actually allocate, I think it was $50,000 for the departure of the previous general manager. It will actually come out of the balance sheet, most of that money. So there will be an adjustment down. So the forecast will come back to approximately $30,000 deficit as in forecast, rather than the 80,000. Sorry, as in because the previous general manager brought in some entitlements from Midwestern Council, which was quarantined into the balance sheet, plus any holiday leave, long service leave, etc., would have also been quarantined into the balance sheet, because we forecast what the exposure will be or the expenditure will be. So yeah, but that will come out with the first quarter QBRS, which will be, I think, November, if I'm correct, General Manager.
The short circuit this, maybe the General Manager, when he has in the next month or two, could give us all of us a quick analysis of just the pluses and minuses as to compare, like a mini QBRS. Is that what you're saying, Bruce?
Yeah, but we now do have a finance committee, so I was just suggesting send it to it, and then the finance committee can bring a report back to potentially the August meeting, which I think we've scheduled for late August, and this could come in as a report on that one. I do want to flag one other comment though, given that it is a very high profit on the original forecast. I am going to foreshadow, so I'm only foreshadowing for the next council meeting, that we potentially, and I haven't written a notice of motion yet, that we may actually allocate some of this profit, not all of it, to the roadside program for each of the 4 constituent councils. Because if the 4 constituent councils see this type of figure and go, why the heck are we paying you so much money? So that's a risk. I just want to foreshadow it as in for the next council meeting. I will leave it there, Chair.
I think, but in tandem with that, we've asked the General Manager to have a look at the roadside program. Costing point of view, making sure that he's satisfied with the figures we're getting in relation to cost per kilometre are correct. Okay. Member Fry. Anyone else?
I think it's great to see the budget there, and it's because all the councils are watching us on what we're doing on the roadside. So it'd be really good if we could attend to those things that we haven't been able to catch up with quicker than normal, so to speak. So,
well, what it would mean was that the council is absorbing some of the cost of the roadside spraying for each of the councils by allocating some of its profit to do that, to absorb that. A certain number of kilometres. How we're going to allocate that is going to be another question.
Well, we'll just wait for debate on this one, Chair, until I put a notice of motion up at the next meeting.
But
then we can discuss it.
Work out, apart from if we do that, how it's going to be allocated.
Population ratio.
No, just 80,000. Look, not a problem.
Wait for my notice of motion. It will actually outline it.
All right, let's not foreshadow. Okay, any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Asked unanimously. Go to item 6, CTWA Finance Committee. Recommendations, the council approve the terms of reference to the CTWA Finance Committee. Can I have a mover of a motion, please? Member Fry.
Yeah.
Seconder, please. Member Ring, thank you. Member Fry.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, and we should approve the terms of reference as they are. I think we've got some big decisions coming up, and if we can do some work in that committee to effectively, I guess, provide some deeper analysis for council members making the ultimate decision, I think it's a good protocol to have within the council.
I agree with that. Lithgow were very much entrenched in the whole committee process and having working parties. I just don't understand how any council could operate without a finance committee or without oversight from the councillors. So I think it's really important. And given some of the issues with ARIC, I think this actually provides us a bit more oversight and a bit more guidance.
I was just going to say one of the first actions, speaking of ARIC and internal audit, is to have a discussion about where we head with the internal audit, as in we've gone out with a potential MOU, etc. So hopefully we can come back for the next council meeting with some discussion now that the terms of reference has been approved, that the finance committee can arrange to have a meeting with the general manager and then bring back a recommendation to the next council meeting, which is about a month's time away.
Just before we go to Member Gulliver, so have we had members back or our quotes back for the undertaking that work for the respective county councils for the internal?
Through the chair, we've had 3 submissions received for internal audit. After reviewing those submissions, it was viewed by the other members and myself that they weren't acceptable. One came in at $150,000 to conduct the internal audit, so immediately removed. I've been meeting with the other members of that MOU, and we've got a plan in place to now go back to the drawing board and review the way in which we went out for tender and the expression of interest. We believe that the infill process was flawed in that we were just asking for an internal audit. We didn't have any idea across the councils of what the internal audit was to be on, and we suspect that the reason we only got 3 submissions out of the 15 that was originally sent to was that the nature of the internal audit was too broad in nature. So we're looking to
Reduce the scope of work.
Reduce the scope of work. And by that means we expect to get a better take up and probably a lower cost as a result, because the organisations tendering will have a clearer idea of what they're pricing to do.
Chair, could I ask a question for you, the general manager? I'm sorry.
Member Gulliver, sorry.
No, I just want to support what the other members have said. I really support the financial committee. I think it's great.
I just wanted to ask about the members of the MOU.
Yep.
Have they not had advice for us from their ARIC committees on what should preferably be in the internal audit? Because because I'm the rep on our ARIC committee at Lithgow, and we worked through it with our ARIC committee and got agreement on what should be there.
The other 2 members through the chair have not had involvement from their ARICs on what should be their schedule of internal audits over the next number of years, which I found surprising. I would have thought that having direction or being able to make recommendations to the audit committee and then have those recommendations endorsed to then go out to an expression of interest would be a preferred way of conducting business.
If I could again, Chair, like given we're a single issue authority, I wouldn't imagine that there's that many audits really that need to be done. Obviously, financial and some operational stuff. There clearly can't be that many that are required.
No, and just going through and discussing potential risks that across the three councils that we would view as important would be WH&S, cyber security, and potentially chemical handling and storage. The front of mind on the WH&S, working on foot risk being a key part of that. So that they were just some that we'd come up with, which we thought were universal, but there needs to be a process by which each council agrees on what their priorities are, and then the MOU would kick into play in going, okay, here are the similar topics, let's go out for an expression of interest on those.
Thank you.
And one of the reasons I think the former generation looking at this, because there were commonality of issues, but that hasn't been grasped by the people dealing with the project. All right, Member Reynolds.
So to answer a couple of the questions that have been raised here, at the last ARIC meeting, it was put forward that maybe we should be doing 4 internal audits a year. This is why I want to discuss this at the first Finance Committee meeting, is to actually seek advice on what is the minimum legal requirement that we actually have to do, because 4 is way, way too much. But I also do suggest on what has happened with another county council, which has gone into administration and been wound up, that we should use it as a template to actually look at where the failures potentially were in that entity and put them into our internal audit process, because you can learn a lot from others of a similar category. And so again, that was another discussion that I'd like to take forward to the Finance Committee to then bring back a recommendation to this county council. So just flagging that these are some of the issues that we will potentially talk about, because as the General Manager has highlighted, we don't have a lot that we can actually audit, as in undertake an audit on in an individual year. So let alone if you're going to do each year the same, as in once you've got procedures in place, you shouldn't be having to as in go back and audit every year on that same thing. So again, a lot of internal discussion, but hopefully we can bring back, and this will be one of the first major task of the Finance Committee, to actually come back with some ideas that we as a county council can move forward with. Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely, but because we're a single purpose and our finance is not huge, the risk of any small deviation causes much more problem for us because of our size. And the General Manager is well aware of what occurred in another county council. Right, any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. We go to item 7. This is the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. The recommendation is the Council establish an ARIC review committee comprising CTWA General Manager, Michael Jones, the Chairperson, Andrew Kippen, and members of the CTWA Finance Committee. Have a mover for the motion, please. Member Fry. Second, please, Member Ring. Thank you. Member Fry.
We all know we need to review our Audit Risk Improvement Committee situation. I feel like it's important to see if we're getting the most effective and value for money proposition out of anything this council does, given its size. So if there's better ways of doing things, may it be discussed. If not, may it remain the same. But I think this committee would be a good place to steer that thought proposition.
Thank you.
No, I agree with Member Fry. Nothing else to add.
Thank you. I think we have the terms. We have the terms of reference currently as a part of the attachment to the business papers. So I'd ask any members who's got any views on that to please send them through to myself or the finance committee or the general manager or probably through all of us for any comments if you're not on those bodies. Yes, Member Reynolds?
Thank you, Chair. So I was the one that suggested that we actually do the review. At least one of the other councils that is undertaking, that has a shared ARIC, is also doing a review, being Blaney Shire Council as well. That's gone through council. As it says here, we are entitled to do a review once in each term, as in the council can call for that review. In having as in looking at the terms of reference, and I helped write the terms of reference, as in we took them off the model terms of reference and just modified them slightly. And I think Member Fry actually brought it up, how effective the ARIC is, and particularly on reporting back to the council, I think is very, very important. I had a look at another council, and it wasn't a county council, it's another general council, ARIC committee report, and this was Parkshire Council. As I was looking at those minutes last night, I was really impressed. I think it was 18-page report came in the recommendations and a very detailed discussion of what the issues were in each section of the ARIC thing. So I'm not saying that that's the ants pants, but this is what we need to have a look at, the report that actually comes back to the council from ARIC, whether it's in the minutes or whether ARIC provides a report. So that's one of the things that I think we do need to look at with regard to this review of the terms of reference. We are also changing over the chair at the end of the year. The current chair finishes her second term. And under the rules has to take a 2-year break. So we do need to look at a new chair. So it's a good starting point, as in towards the end of this year, by the time this review is finished, that we actually can come back and give a new direction for a new chair, and there'll be a new member of ARIC because the chair has to stand down as well. Because of her term. So yeah, I think it's just a good review after 12 months, and it's been 12 months, as in the 1st of July, I think this ARIC officially came into being. So it's a good time to do that review. And again, another opportunity for the Finance Committee to actually undertake the review and bring a report back to this County Council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any, noting that Blaney Council is doing one at the same time, is it appropriate then we should be speaking to Central Tablelands Water because we have the same ARIC, so we have some synergies in our terms of reference, or is that not necessary? There are some generic issues that would be across the board, but there would be some areas that are not. I'm assuming.
Chair, if I may answer that. Each county council has its own, or each council and has its own terms of reference. They can vary, and they actually do. The county councils ones do vary. Well, this county council's ones do vary slightly from Blaney, which was set up as a template that then we've modified. I have spoken with the deputy chair of the Water Authority and suggested that they might look at having a review. It's up to them though whether they want to have a review after 12 months. They're losing their director of finance shortly. I think he's retiring.
Could I suggest that I will be away next week, assuming that you are taking, sorry, Member Reynolds, Member Graham, Member Friday, I'm not sure who's going. Who's going? If you're going, whoever's going to Parks for the JO next week, I might raise it with the Central Tablelands Water while you're up there. Either on the review or all of you.
Gang up on them, it's better safety in numbers.
Yeah. But I'm just, if that could be raised, because I do think we don't want our terms of reference, because we're using the same ARIC members, completely out of the line. So the closer we can have at least the core sections of that, the better, I would think.
Yes.
And it also creates, it's easier for the members of the ARIC because they have some certainty as to how they've got three, they're roughly the same, but then there are the differences, but they can be higher
And Chair, may I say, a number of the ARIC members sit on other ARICs.
Yes.
And one of them did sit on, which may be of benefit, the ARIC for the other county council that was put in administration
Right.
and wound up. So, but those other ARICs they sit on would have different terms of reference again. So, and they should, each individual ARIC, they should actually understand what the requirements are. So we may end up with some different. The Blaney review, which I'm chairing, is not expected to report back till very late this year, but in enough time so that the new chair, once the new chair of that ARIC, and we can have a different chair. That's the important thing, that each of the three councils, or two county councils, one general council, can have a different chair, even though we share the same ARIC. Just the same three members of that ARIC. So again, it'll be up to this council whether they want to appoint whoever is next put up.
So when, so the three councils will go out for a request for a ARIC member. They have to do that, I'm assuming, because we're not within the time frame to use someone who, well, I suppose there's been no request recently.
There is and I get through you, Chair, there is a tender panel.
Yes,
So there are a number of people who are on that for the joint organisation, but for any council across the region. So, and this council could technically, though I wouldn't recommend it, take a different person to the other two councils.
No, that's what I'm saying. We need to go out together.
Correct. So, and maybe a pathway. Blaney hasn't, given Blaney is the lead council,
Yeah.
hasn't made a decision as far as I'm aware, and I don't think our general manager has had a discussion yet, because it's still a fair way off. We're talking November, December.
I asked the general manager maybe to have a discussion with Blaney and the CTWA about coming up with the methodology. Well, there is a methodology in place for selecting our new third member of the ARIC.
And I will, through you, Chair, I will suggest a person that
I'll suggest a person too, but.
No, not to sit on the ARIC, but to talk to.
Yeah, I can't possibly talk to, yes, right. All right, we have to go out for a proper process. All right, any further discussion on this matter? If not, I'll put the recommendation as motion as per the recommendation, item 7. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go item 8.
Sorry, Mayor, sorry, Chair, before we go to that, if I may, we adopted the terms of reference to the Finance Committee, but we haven't actually appointed anyone to the Finance Committee.
We did last meeting.
Did we? Oh,
You are. You're a.
yeah, okay, yeah. Memory, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay, that's fine. You know, we'll call it an age factor.
Sorry, there are no minutes, so you're excused.
Yeah, well, you know.
Item 8. Council notes in accordance with section 9(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 1993, the general manager's opinion, the business and the agenda designated confidential and listed as follows. 9.1 minutes of the CTWA ARIC meeting 18th of June 2025, 9.2 minutes of the CTWA extraordinary meeting of Council 21st of May 2025 are the kind referred to in section 10(a)(2) of the Act and should be dealt with in part of the meeting closed for meeting of the public. And further, in accordance with section 10(b)(1) of the Act, it is considered discussion of the business and open meeting would balance be contrary to the public interest. Could I have someone move us into confidential, please? Member Ring, second Member Gulliver. All in favour?
Aye.
Cease the recording and move to confidential, please.